Good evening. I call to order this regular meeting of the Carabell City Commission. It's Thursday, February the 3rd, 2022, 6 p.m., and this meeting is being conducted in the Carabell City Hall chambers, and we will open as usual with a prayer by Commissioner Allen, and then I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, so please stand.
Our God and Father in heaven, we're so grateful that we have this opportunity to come together tonight as a group and deal with those things that are important to our city and our citizens. We ask you to be with us in our wisdom and judgment, that we might do that which would be proper for them as well as in your sight. We ask this in the name of that one Son that you've got. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for silencing your phones. Anyone who wishes to speak during the public comment section or during any discussion on any agenda item, please complete a speaker card and submit that to Ms. Keisha or Ms. Courtney. All comments will be kept at a maximum of 3 minutes, and with a one-time visit to the podium per item. Loud outbursts are not allowed. And thank you very much. And we are moving on to the consent agenda, which is the January 6th regular commission meeting minutes and the attorney's invoices for December 2021. Did everyone get a chance to read the minutes and review the minutes and the invoices from the attorney? All right. Do we have a motion regarding that?
Motion to approve.
Okay. And a second by?
Second.
Okay. All right. That motion is by Commissioner Mathis, second by Commissioner Allen. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And now we have our commissioner reports. Commissioner Brown.
I have a couple things. I just wanted to thank Dustin and the Streets and Roads crew for the cleaning and repairs they did at Patton Park. It looks really good. We have a few events coming up soon. The Camp Gordon Johnson Day is March 12th. Culture Crawl is March 19th. And the Riverfront Festival is April 23rd. And I would like to request that the sidewalks downtown please be pressure washed. Most of the businesses on the Marine Street side are closed on Mondays, or a few of them are. And then on the Tallahassee Street, they're closed on Wednesdays. So if they want to keep that in mind and maybe do those days if possible. And then one more little request. We have 2 trash cans on the Tallahassee Street side, and I was wondering if we could move one to the Marine Street side in that little grassy area in front of White's Kitchen. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner, thank you, and thank you for asking for pressure washing the sidewalks. I appreciate it. I believe we can fund that out of the CRA too, if we hire someone to do that.
Okay, I wasn't
That'd be
sure if
good,
Streets and
yeah.
Roads could do it or.
Either one, whatever Ms. Courtney thinks
We
is
just had
best.
this phone pressure wash, we got a really good price on it, so I think that we'll, I'll reach out and get some prices and see.
Okay. Awesome.
All right, that's great. Okay, Commissioner Allen?
I have one thing. The street we live on is 30A, and it's a historic street as well as designated as a beautiful street. Unfortunately, we have a lot of beer cans, beer bottles, cups, things all over it all the time. But for many months, we have had a white bucket out in the middle of the pond. And it just aggravates me. We've tried to figure out how to get it, but we think we would bog up to our neck in that soft mud. But somebody had the ambition to go out and pick it up and bring it back and put it on the road, and it since then has been hauled off. So you can see our pond and all the birds that play down there and without any kind of distraction. And I do want to thank a lot of people that do work that down there, pick it up. There's one of them sitting right there. He's grinning. He's down there a lot picking up bottles and cans and stuff too. And if everybody would be, concerned about the beauty of that street, because it is what is Carabell valve. So I just wondered, I don't know who picked it up. You did you do it? Okay. Well, I don't know who did it, but if they're watching and, if you know who, pass the word along that I'm very thankful for what they did. That was you risk your life when you wade out in that mud ball. But, anyway, I'm just excited about that.
Okay. We're
Not that
glad.
you noticed.
All right. Commissioner Mathis?
I have nothing.
Okay, Commissioner Millender?
I have no report.
Okay. All right, then I do have a report, and it's in big font. That's why it always looks like it's a big full page, so I try to go through it quick. On January the 10th, Courtney and I met here at City Hall with 3 representatives from the Nature Conservancy, who in partnership with the Northwest Florida Water Management District and the Northeastern University and the U.S. Naval Academy are studying the 3 Florida counties that were most affected by Hurricane Michael, and of course that's Bay, Gulf, and Franklin. This group is working on a project to identify sites where natural features can be strengthened or features created to increase protection of communities from storms and floods, such as development of stormwater facilities, which we are in need of stormwater management here in Carabell. And so the group was conducting interviews with the public officials and upper-level management in the 3-county area to confirm flooding problem areas and possible locations for mitigation. And they had a map, and then they took that to a workshop with their overall group. Did you participate in that workshop the next day? I did not either. I believe that was via Zoom somehow, but I didn't participate. All right, and then over the past 2 months, I'm going to talk about the Tourist Development Council now. And over the past 2 months, the Tourist Development Council Executive Director has been working with the City of Apalachicola to develop a TDC funding request for Franklin County to clean and supply city-owned restroom facilities. And this is the same as the TDC now funds cleaning and supplies for Franklin County-owned restroom facilities. Now, don't ask me which ones or where. I do know that the 2 restrooms on St. George Island and at the Carabell Wayside Park are funded by the TDC, and others, but I don't know exactly which those are. The facilities, of course, they must be tourist-related to justify funding. And Courtney and Dustin, and I've advised Courtney about it, are assembling a list of Carabell-owned public restrooms that serve tourists, and that would be in comparison to the request that's been submitted by Apalachicola. And this item has been scheduled to be taken up at the February 9th TDC meeting. And then in addition to that, on the January the 29th, I alerted Mr. Solomon that the Carabell Public and the CRA board members, who are also commissioners, and the city administrator requested that I reach out to the TDC for funding for replacement of the badly worn 15-year-old playground equipment at Sands Park. Similar to action approved by the county commission in the past for TDC funding of tourist-related playground equipment. So I plan during my February 9th report at the TDC meeting that I will alert the TDC board members and that the city administrator is assembling a funding request for replacement of 15 children's playground pieces. And the request will include equivalent funding for playground equipment at a tourist-related park in the city of Apalachicola. So you all may ask, well, why do I include that, or why would we want to say when I present my request for funding, say if we want, I don't know, 15, 20, I don't know how much $1,000 we will ask. So I would request that for the same thing for the city of Apalachicola, because in the TDC world here in Franklin County, if one city receives funding for a project, the other city receives the same. And all funding requests by individual cities ultimately end up including both cities. Is that correct, Ms. Tamara? She sits in on those meetings quite often. So, but meanwhile, yesterday, Mr. Solomon notified me of some confusion between the county offices and the TDC director's offices on whether or not cleaning of city-owned restrooms can be funded, and funding of tourist-related playground infrastructure is allowed under Florida Statute 125.0104, which governs tourist development councils. If it's determined that these two projects that I just mentioned are not allowed funding under the Florida statute, then of course these requests will be irrelevant. But all we can do is push forward and ask and see what comes of it. And just as a reminder, tourist development, its tax collections and revenues and expenditures all fall under the jurisdiction of the Franklin County Board of County Commissioners, who ultimately approve and disapprove all spending and projects that are recommended to them by the TDC. The TDC is merely an advisory board. TDC funding for cleaning of city restrooms was last requested back in October of 2017. Were you at that meeting, Ms. Tamara? Do you remember that? And Courtney has a copy of the request that I developed and that we submitted at that time. And that request, the funding was too great at that time for both cities, but now the TDC is making more money. Their revenues have increased, so we're going to approach this again and see if it will happen. And then I just want to let you know that Ms. Gina Irving with the Franklin Correctional Institution has requested me to speak at a Women's History Month function in March that they're having out there, and just wanted to advise you all that I'll be doing that. And so also we have no asphalt yet on the Ryan Drive repair. County Commissioner Ward is working diligently with the superintendent of Roberts and Roberts to get them out there and get that repaired. The potholes are bad. Please slow down when you approach that so that you don't damage your car. All right, I'll move on to the city attorney unless someone had questions. Okay, all right, thank you very much.
All right, I just had one item on my report, and this relates to some questions that I'd received. It had come up at a meeting, and then I've had a number of discussions with a couple of commissioners regarding the form of government that we're operating under, and I wanted to give my opinion, field any remaining questions anybody would have, and then certainly for discussion among you all if there's any dissatisfaction with the form of government or my opinion that we're operating under. It's my opinion based on a lot of good information that was sent to me by the mayor, by Commissioner Brown, discussing with other commissioners, and that we are operating under the commission plan. And there's two plans we can operate under, either the commission plan or a commission manager plan form of government. And the city has operated under both in its history, but that we are currently operating under the commission plan, and it is, as sort of a term, that it is sort of a hybrid of the commission plan, because Courtney enjoys a lot of the powers that a manager would have. She does not have the power to hire that a manager typically would, but she does enjoy a lot of them. So we are close to a commission manager plan, but in the absence, because our charter specifically states that in the event of appointment of a city manager, as herein provided, then you move to the commission manager plan. And we have not appointed a city manager. So it's sort of self-operating in the vote you would take to appoint a city manager. That's what would switch us from a commission plan to a commission manager plan. So we're on the commission plan, but with an administrator, which is our right to do that, manage ourselves this way, who handles the administration of the departments and kind of the day-to-day city activities. So if anybody has questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but that is my opinion.
Questions? I did bring from the Florida League of Cities, and it's in the officials, Florida officials manual, and you can see that online. I talked to Commissioner Hartman, a long time, excuse me, attorney. That's the second time I've called you a commissioner. Quite some time, you know, and after I studied this, I did realize as well, it's a hybrid form of the commission form or commission plan. And the Florida League of Cities offers a list of all the different forms of government. And I just want to read real quick the commission form, because we're not really acting, we don't really govern strictly by the basic commission plan. It's more like you say a hybrid. We're leaning more towards the commission manager. But the commission the commission form combines, or commission plan combines, both executive and legislative powers in a governing board called the commission. There is no single chief executive. Rather, the commissioners who serve collectively as the policy-making body also serve individually as heads of the principal departments. In the basic commission form, there's neither a mayor nor city manager. Today, most commission form cities do select and elect a mayor. Early advocates of the commission form hoped that the concentration of power in the hands of a few elected council members would make administration more effective and would enhance accountability to the public. The commission plan was first employed in Galveston, Texas after a disastrous hurricane almost destroyed the city in 1900. It enjoyed widespread popularity for about 2 decades. And since 1920, however, it has declined greatly. Although offering more integration of policy and administration than the council weak mayor form, the commission form tends to provide inadequate coordination, insufficient internal control, and non-professional direction of administration. And it should be noted that in Florida, municipalities like us use the terms council and commission without reference to the distinction of the commission form and other forms of municipal government. Florida municipalities designate their legislative bodies as the commission, but do not employ the commission form of government. So some municipalities, and most municipalities, are using the council manager form of government in Florida, but they may call themselves the commission or commission board. So one should not presume that a Florida municipality employs the commission form merely because its policy-making body is labeled commission. So, you know, we don't really operate, our charter clearly outlines our powers of the mayor, and powers and duties of the mayor and the commission, and it's not quite like that commission form, but we're supposedly operating under that, and we do operate as outlined in the charter until we appoint a manager. Then it would easily move to the commission manager form, is the way I see it, or read it.
I was under that
Okay.
impression we were,
Okay,
so
all right.
I really didn't see an issue.
Okay, very good. I want to ask Mr. Hartman, are we going to need to schedule a special meeting for a trial settlement?
Yes,
Okay.
so just to
Yes.
let everybody know about this, I've been in, Russell is working on basically an estimate and scope of what it's gonna take to implement the terms of a settlement that was basically, what to call it, a preliminary settlement, where it's obviously subject to commission approval, but obviously you all need to know, even though we've essentially reached terms in concept with the opposing party, what it's gonna cost. What are the pros and cons of this settlement, of these settlement terms to the city? And I will, once Russell has pulled that together, I'll present kind of the legal side of it and pros and cons, and then Russell will be there to be able to answer exactly what we're getting ourselves into from a time, labor, and expense perspective to implement what our portion of it is. I'm trying to be vague here, but is some work on drainage structures that convey water across the Poteet property that originates from our pond down D, down Fifth, that then crosses the Poteet property. And the settlement involves the city doing one-time work to improve and clean out, really just clean out and maintain that ditch system. But the cost of that obviously is important because everything's going up now, and we need to know what that is. And I'll of course talk at that time again about the case just generally and the benefits of settlement versus continued litigation and or trial.
But we don't need to do any scheduling of
Sorry, I was just talking to Russell about that. I don't want to put him on the spot, but he can tell us when he thinks he can have that pulled together. And then if it coincides with a CRA meeting or something else, I would ask, and I think Courtney or Keisha we can work it out that we'll conduct some sort of special meeting
Okay.
at a convenient time for everyone. We're
All right.
already gathered, because it won't take long, I don't think, a half
Okay,
hour. would
thank
be
you. And I
sufficient.
noticed then on Russell's report too that we're going to need to schedule a workshop. So we'll have a couple of times during the month. We have also a workshop on the 10th scheduled too.
Okay.
Okay. Do y'all have any questions for Mr. Hartman?
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Then we'll move to the city administrator's report.
I was just gonna let you guys know that we had a couple of meetings that were scheduled for January. The HR committee meeting and the meeting with Mr. Mark Melcher on the cleanup in Carabell that we had discussed last month. But both of those had got postponed due to illness and staff shortages, and we'll have those meetings this month. Everybody's getting better now, and so people can come back in. Everybody received their staff reports from the department heads, so any questions or anything on staff reports? On Marine Street, we had the decking and the stairs replaced at the boat ramp, and so that looks really good. That was paid for out of boat ramp money. And then I was asked to report on the Buck O'Neill signage that we discussed last month, that we'd have signs that said home of Buck O'Neill or birthplace of Buck O'Neill, and Russell's gonna report more about that under his report.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Do y'all have questions for?
I do, Mayor. One question, Courtney, and we've discussed it now for a number of years. Those bumper guards at the entrance to the ramp itself when you're backing over,
They're
that
getting
one is
replaced this
deteriorating
month.
quite fast. And, we talked about it over the years that I've been here to have it kind of chipped and cleaned and primed and painted, but it's really deteriorating.
They're scheduled to come, and Charlie's got his concrete guys coming next week, and he's gonna report both of those.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
I've noticed that a couple of boat ramps, and I don't know that I'm not the engineer, but they're pouring concrete tubes, Russell, and they're encasing it, or maybe they're planting the PVC first and pouring concrete in it, reinforced concrete, and it still does the same thing, but it's resistant to all that saltwater rust.
Pouring concrete into the
Into the
PVC tube.
PVC tube, yes, for the strength of it.
That's
Yeah.
an idea.
But I've noticed that at a couple of boat ramps, and again, I'm looking at Russell, I'm not trying to put you on a spot, but that may be an idea with all that salt water.
Yeah, it may be that the PVC pipe is basically acting as the form,
Yes.
but concrete is typically resistant to salt water anyway, but
We don't have to resolve that at this point. That's just an idea that we may want to look at when we replace that, Courtney.
So it's
Just
coming
a thought.
quickly, so,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, it's getting ready to
they're
happen
scheduled to
quickly?
come.
Is
Yeah,
it-
they're already
do you
scheduled.
You
want
already
to-
schedule them? Yeah.
Why don't you follow up with that and make
Sure.
sure, see if it can be
Sure.
done? Okay. If you don't mind.
Don't mind at all.
All right, very good.
Yeah, I'll let you know when they're coming. We'll meet
Okay.
with the guy.
Okay. All right, and please thank the department heads for their reports. I know it's a new thing for them, but I really do appreciate it.
We're still ironing everything out, but they're doing a good job.
It's good. And they're working on their annual inventories too as well? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, we'll then move on to Ms. Keisha, the city clerk's report.
I got a few meetings I was gonna announce for February. The 10th, as the mayor said, at 1:30, we have a workshop for the illegal dumping at the Riverwalk Park. That's 1:30, February 10th. February 15th at 1:30 is our CRA meeting. February 17th is our tentative P&Z meeting. As of right now, we don't have one, but if the review gets completed on the Dollar Tree, then that would come up on the 17th. The 21st is President's Day, and City Hall will be closed.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions for Ms. Keisha?
I think Russell had something.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have that review complete
Okay, so then we will be
by,
having,
by the 10th.
by the 10th,
Let's
okay.
say that you folks have done a pretty good job keeping this thing going, even with all the sickness and the absentees. I mean, you come through here, it looked like it was closed, but y'all in here just pushing away and we had I understand a lot of sicknesses in our staff. And so we're just glad y'all held the fort.
Keisha,
I think,
if I could comment just on notice for the P and Z meeting on the 17th, right?
speaking to your microphone.
Yeah, I am.
so
So
they can
I'll
hear
try
it at
to do
home.
better. I think the safest, because it's a controversial project and a lot of folks will want to participate publicly, is that we notice it as we normally do, but post it all around town. Let's plan on having the meeting on the 17th. Russell will complete his comments, right, and transmit them both to us as well as the applicant. And the applicant can pull if they say, oh, we think, the applicant may disagree with the comments, right? They may say, we want to proceed because I believe have they asked to be on P and Z?
No, how we've been doing it with every other development and this one as well. If it does not pass, the engineers, if he's not gonna sign off on it and recommend it to the P&Z, we don't go forward with it. So we give it back to them and then they have to correct their comments.
I think obviously
Because we're
typically,
past the preliminary site, now we're going to final, so it has to be ready for him to recommend approval.
obviously, the trick there is that if the city's engineer says you don't meet our code criteria, very unlikely that project's going to be approved, right? We'd be
Right.
approving it over
Right.
the objection of technical staff. So it only makes sense that someone would want to address all those comments, be ready for their application so they at least have the best chance of approval. But that's up to them. That's sort of, on this project, given the detail, and I think we've gone through a couple rounds of comments and that sort of thing, what I want to avoid is anybody taking the position that they didn't get enough notice of the meeting.
Well, and that's why we have the deadlines for them to turn it in and get the review done, so we'll know by the 10th, which is a week before the P&Z, if we'll have a P&Z meeting.
Okay, and then you'll post notice of that meeting for the 17th. Yep.
Yeah, and we always have the agendas out on the desk out there.
All right.
Since we want to make sure that we get the notice out, can we post that on the city, can that be posted on the city's Facebook page, just the agenda?
We can.
Okay.
But we need to do more than.
The city doesn't normally, but I post the agendas, and I think Commissioner Brown does as well, but to just cover.
Not for P and Z, cause I don't get them, but
I get a copy
I
of it
will.
and then do that, but I never say anything, I just post it on my, the time, date and time and where, and that's it. I don't make any comments
Yeah,
about it, but I just put it there as a bulletin board.
And that's extra and that's good, but we'll just do our normal notice procedure and then
Okay.
Facebook's extra and that's fine.
All right. Now, I will say I have requested a police officer to be here that day for the P&Z meeting at the daytime meeting. We don't usually have coverage, but if we're gonna have a full house, I'm not going to attend that meeting. I don't like to, that board is going to be under undue pressure enough, and I don't want to be there to make them, have any other pressure. But they may need some assistance with
Sure.
law enforcement coverage as well.
Since this is such a hot topic, would it be appropriate to have it live streamed? I mean, I know we don't do it for everyone, but it is, everybody's interested in it.
Remember, P&Z is advisory only.
Yeah.
So that is not, I mean, it's
It would
it's
still
a
come
step
before
in
the
process.
commission.
Yeah, it's still
It's
coming.
still gonna
Yeah,
have
it's
to
a
come.
step in the process, but it is not
Right.
dispositive of anything. Meaning that approval is just,
It's a
it's not even approval,
recommendation.
it's a recommendation
to the Board of
to approve.
Commissioners, yeah.
So it's not a, we're gonna treat it as a quasi judicial and that sort of thing, but there's even an argument that it's not, but we're gonna treat it as one, we're gonna go through it, but it's essentially a dry run, but I think certainly it's gonna be busy, right? People, it's both sides of that issue, people are active, so,
I think that it will be filmed, though. It wouldn't be live streamed, but I think that it will
Okay.
be filmed. I think.
I think that's a good idea, because I mean,
Okie dokie. Anything else then? Okay. All right, let's see now. That was the city clerk, although we went back to the attorney. That got me a little sidetracked. So then we'll move on to Mr. Large, Enovia's report.
All right, thank you. On our small communities grant, the Hill Project, 9th Street, we redesigned the plans to include the open graded hot mix, as we discussed at the last CRA meeting. We submitted those plans to DOT. They have reviewed them and offered comments. So we're responding to those comments. They haven't said no, but they haven't said yes yet. So we're working with them to get their approval to move forward with that work. Okay.
Commissioner Mellinger called me this afternoon, he had went down and looked, and he was wondering, do you wanna ask?
What I was saying to Courtney, I'm just, and Russell, I've said it before, I hate to see us lose any opportunity, whether it's 100 feet or 10 feet. I hate to see us lose that money and that opportunity. And from a layman's standpoint, my standpoint, not from an engineer, it looks like we could pave, just from my standpoint, from 98 to Avenue D without much of a drainage issue, just from what I see. And that's just me. And that's my question to you. If we can get as much as we can get out of this, and because the deadline's coming up, I think, in March, right? We're right on top of
March
it.
31st, yeah.
And I just hate for us to lose this opportunity to get anything that we can get out of it and still have a favorable relationship with DOT in our grant. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
We were actually talking about that in our office today.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd like to time it, I'd like to at least attempt to time it where there's one mobilization. So we don't want to have to pay for mobilization twice. We want to pay
Makes
for that
sense. That's cost saving, yes.
once. But I'll look harder at that idea. That we may be able to concentrate the DOT portion of the funding for what you're talking about,
Yes.
and then the remaining funds that would come from the city would fund the balance.
With the remaining funds that's gonna come out of the city coffers, there's no chance of losing that. It's here.
Yeah,
That's CRA.
Yeah, exactly. It's here.
that's true.
But there is on the grant monies. And that's just
Okay.
what I'm I'm most concerned about is to get what we can out of that grant and not lose any of that funding.
Okay.
That's me, folks. I don't know how y'all feel, but that's how I feel.
No, I feel that way as well. In fact, early on, when we saw there was gonna be some issues Courtney and I approached Russell about, you know, can you pave to D, or can you at least pave to the first residence or something?
Correct.
You know, get something out of it. And I don't know if you heard, I did make a comment about the relationship with the FDOT at our CRA meeting. Did you hear?
I did.
Okay, so I want to, you know, this is only our second FDOT
Right.
grant for roadways that are municipal streets here in Carabell, and we want to get another one.
Exactly.
As soon
I
as
mean,
possible.
I just stated that
Yeah.
myself. So,
Very
yeah.
good.
I will tell you, I did speak with Winnie Edwards. She's the grant administrator with DOT. I spoke to her today, and she understands what we're trying to accomplish, and at the moment she's comfortable with what we're doing. But I'll look at that. I'll look at that hard again and see if there's a way we can carve out just that paving for the DOT funding part.
Yeah, at least get that section
Yeah.
of it done. Every piece
Okay.
that we can get done is a benefit, yes.
And,
Okay.
you know, even if we have to come back next year,
Exactly.
you know, of
Yeah.
course, that'd be second mobilization, but that would be next year, and we could allocate.
It would
we
pay
could
for
put
mobilization.
money in a escrow
I'd
Well-
rather,
budget line.
It would pay for mobilization
I'd
under a
rather
new
pay,
grant.
right, I'd rather pay for another mobilization than I had lose the
All right.
funding.
Okay. Okay.
And that's, yeah,
Understood. I'll take that direction.
okay.
Thank you, Russell.
All right. Secondly, on our Baywood Drive improvements project, the DOT scope cycle is open right now. The deadline is March the 4th. So I would like to prepare that application and send that to Courtney for review ahead of that deadline on the 4th. We do have a commission meeting on the 3rd, but we'll have that prepared in advance of that time. And
All right, would you like a motion for you to?
yes.
Okay, so what we need then is a motion for Mr. Large to submit to the FDOT for SCOP funding for Baywood Drive.
I'll make
make
that
a
motion.
motion.
Okay, well, okay, we have Mr. Melander, Commissioner Melander, sorry, and,
Second.
okay, second, Brown. All right, so that motion for Russell to submit that application to the DOT for Baywood Drive funding is Commissioner Melander, second by Commissioner Brown. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries.
Right, thank you. On our Lighthouse project, all shop drawings have been approved and sent back to the contractor. Notice to proceed with the western portion of Phase 2 has been issued. We have a meeting scheduled with the contractor next week, next Thursday, February the 10th. DEP has, from the SRF side, this is on the water funding side, has responded. And they say that grant funding will not be available in this cycle. What they're telling us is that we would have to annul our current grant and then apply for a new grant, but the grant dollars available under the new cycle is not as much as we have currently. So that wouldn't be advisable. He did say that we can increase the loan amount. And that's what I would like to suggest, that we have a special meeting to discuss.
Okay.
And that was an increase with a 0% interest.
Right, it would be an increase of the loan amount at 0% interest.
Increase the loan amount, well, the workshops where we need to discuss it all. So,
Right.
Do you want to have are you recommending a workshop or a meeting? Well, now, they're going to have their meeting, the SRF committee is having their meeting in February. I believe that's the way I read that email. So when, you don't know when they're having?
Now, I've asked.
Okay. We are having a workshop on the 10th at
10th. Yeah,
1:30, is that what it was?
that's what I have
Okay.
on my calendar. yeah.
Do you want to try to meet on the 10th, or do you think we need to meet before that?
No, I think the 10th is good.
Okay. And that's at 1:30. Should we meet after or before? Since it-
I could see that taking some time to discuss.
But everybody will be here on the 10th.
That's correct.
And you'll be here in town on the 10th, Commissioner Allen
As far as I know.
and Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Well, we could go for 10 o'clock and then take a lunch break and come back to the workshop that we have at 1:30. Is that all right? 10 or 11 in the morning?
Fine.
I'd prefer 11 if possible. I usually have work stuff in the morning, but
And how long do you think it will take?
I would say about maybe an hour and a half.
Well, how about then, let's meet we'll split the difference, 10:30.
okay.
Okay, and then we'll need a motion for that.
A motion,
Let's
is
see,
it a workshop or a meeting?
a meeting.
I'll make a motion, I conduct or have a special meeting on February the 10th at 10:30 a.m. to discuss this item.
Second that motion.
Okay, that motion is by Commissioner Melander, second by Commissioner Mathis for a special meeting on February 10th at 10:30 a.m. to discuss the revision SRF loan and grant program.
And
Yes, sir.
just to ask is, I will be available. Do you want the lawyer there or not? It doesn't sound like a necessarily,
We have
Or-
had a meeting like this before on this same topic, and you didn't attend.
what? How did y'all make
I
it
don't
through
know
that?
how we did it. We didn't argue or anything,
All right.
well.
Promise to be on our best behavior.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we
Sorry.
didn't vote? Did we vote on that, Keisha? All right, so we have that motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries. All right.
All right, next item is Marine Street CDBG project. Through the process of the environmental review that Fred Fox administered, the Army Corps of Engineers has come back and they are asking that we submit a permit since the construction is adjacent to the Carabell River. We're not doing work in the river beyond the limits of the wall, so I'm not sure why they're asking for that permit, but that's sounds like a hoop we'll have to jump through before we'll be able to bid that project.
Is that standard protocol for,
And I've never had that occur.
I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
Now, if it was in the water, I could see it.
Right.
So,
You know, we did a lot of work there on that,
yeah, on
Uh,
that, yeah, on that
the,
wall.
what do you
The
call it
dock.
there, the
Retaining-
garden, I can't even think anymore.
Bulkhead, the retaining
Well,
wall?
that rain garden
Oh,
there.
right.
It's a
Yeah.
bio-retention cell. We did that, and I don't think we had a big baffle box in there,
Right.
and then the parking lot, and,
Well, the first thing I'd like to do is make a phone call to the reviewer and just
Yeah.
make sure he's
Uh-huh.
understanding the program.
okay, and that would hold it up some bit of time, wouldn't it?
It could,
sure.
yeah. It
Okay.
sure could. Yep.
You're gonna call them and see if we
Yes.
actually need it.
Right. And I got that email yesterday, I believe. Okay, and then Buck O'Neill, on the Buck O'Neill signage, contacted Greg Oots with DOT in Midway. He's the maintenance engineer. And he is initiating that process. It's been a while since he's done it, but from what he remembered, there's, they have a way that they do it, the wording that they use. So he's gonna get back with me about what that is. But I understand that the department will create the sign. But so that process is moving forward.
Okay, very good. There you go, Ms. Tamara.
Chance will be done before July when he gets inducted. It's a PR opportunity for Carabell.
Right. I'll impress that upon him.
And then, Ms. Courtney, we would need a sign for 67 CR County Road. Okay.
And the other end of town.
Will this be for both
Yes.
gateways on
Yes.
98?
Right.
Okay.
Wherever the city limit sign is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any further questions for Mr. Large? Okay, and so
Okay.
that's a special meeting and move forward with the grant for Baywood.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Okay, advisory board reports. We have Carabell Waterfront submitted their report. Ms. Tamara did just a couple of minutes, well, right before the meeting. And then Commissioner Brown listed a lot of the events that were included on that report already. And then we have the Aviation Advisory Board report. Now, first of all, do we have any questions regarding the Carabell Waterfront Partnership report? Okay, and she has on there, and I'll say in advance is the 5th Annual Carabell Culture Crawl on Saturday, the 19th of this month. You're having it this month? March. Okay, I don't see. I can't see March on there, but maybe I'm not reading it. So it's March the 19th, and that's what I had thought it was March, and we'll just go ahead and give an advance. Yeah, we'll give an advance notice on that. And then the Aviation Advisory Board report is here, and Mr. Sullivan is here. Does anyone have questions regarding that to Mr. Sullivan? Okay. All right. So then we'll move forward. We have no public hearing, but we do have a quasi-judicial hearing this evening. So we're convening for this quasi-judicial hearing. And item 1 under this section is to approve and disapprove the final site plan for 1105 Highway 98 East. And this is requested by Storm Construction. And this is the second time this has been before us, correct? Mm-hmm. Do you want to remind us how the P&Z voted on this one and how we voted on the last go-round?
Both times they got unanimous approval,
Okay,
preliminary and this last P&Z.
okay. And do we have questions from the commissioners to Ms. Keisha or staff, Mr. Hartman? Or
And then
Courtney?
just to remind the public, it's this lot that's gated, fenced in right across the street, right here next to Matt's Marine, right here. So, it already has its own DOT access, and it's not required stormwater because of the square footage of the building.
And I did ask last time about their water and sewer, how that would function, and that was explained as well.
And basically, I'll just 2 quick questions, Keisha, that it meets from, call it a zoning and floodplain administrative
Yes.
perspective, it meets code criteria?
Yes.
And then Russell I know this is a very simple site plan, but from
Some
code.
metal building.
Code criteria are met from an engineering perspective?
Make a motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Millender to approve item 1 for final site plan for 1105 Highway 98 East. Do we?
Second.
Okay. Have a second by Commissioner Mathis. Is there any further discussion on this one? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and that motion carries. Then item 2 is disapprove a special exception for 308 West 9th Street to allow a residential use.
West.
Beg your pardon?
Notice
Okay.
my typo.
Oh, to allow a residential use which is currently zoned C1 mixed-use commercial. And this is requested by Joey Smith. Is Mr. Smith in here today?
I don't believe so. He lives down south in Naples. so-
Okay, and that's at 308 West 9th Street. And
Would-
did he send out, he sent out
He sent out his
notices?
letters.
Okay.
We didn't get anything back.
Okay,
This is the Steiner's Oyster House,
Mm-hmm.
but the brick house next door to it.
Okay,
So
not
the Steiner's Oyster House is not part of this, it's the other house,
Oh,
even though it's all one piece of property.
Okay, I was wondering that.
Both of them can't be used for residential, just the one.
okay,
Okay.
all righty. Do we have any comments from the audience? I know there's some neighbors, actually 2 sets of neighbors in here that are right there in that area. Okay, so do we want to entertain a motion regarding allowing residential use in this commercial property?
I'll move to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. And that motion is by Commissioner Allen, second by Commissioner Brown, and we have discussion, and I neglected to ask what the P and Z recommended.
They were unanimous on approval.
Okay,
This
thank
is
you.
the fourth time in 4 years that this
Yeah, it's
one
changed-
property
changed
has come back
ownerships.
for it, but they just don't follow through with the sale, so it has to keep coming back.
Okay, okay, so that's by Commissioner Allen and second by Commissioner Brown. All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries, and that's the last item under the quasi judicial hearing, which is now adjourned. Okay, and then we'll move to new business, and item 1 under new business is approve or disapprove resurfacing of the most northern one-block portion of Bryan Drive. And at the CRA meeting, Russell gave us an estimate of $15,000 to do that one block portion. I've asked all the commissioners to review the log account balance with Ms. Courtney. And a reminder is out of that log account balance, $58,385 and some change is outstanding to be funded for the Ryan Drive culvert repairs. So we will have, in my opinion, significant funding, sufficient funding remaining to do that one block portion. So do we have any further discussion on this?
Russell and I talked about that this afternoon, that the quote that he had given us at the CRA meeting was based on if North Florida Asphalt was here and we didn't have to pay a mobilization. So he said that could change, that price could change if we don't do the 9th Street project, but we could still probably throw in the CRA projects and that project and the 2nd Street there at the library and try to get the one mobilization for that. But if we can try to get it with the 9th Street, that
Yeah.
would save us some money.
Okay, or however it goes, because I've got a big list.
Yeah.
I've got it here, but there's a lot of them. Mostly CRA-funded projects. This is the only one that's not, but if we could probably do quite a few at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely, and
Right.
save that mobilization fee.
Which runs about $1,500.
Yes, I still think we have sufficient funds, even if it goes up of $1,500, that we still have the funding in the account to pay for it.
And if we approve it, then as long as the residents there know that we have done our due diligence and we've got it approved and that we're now waiting on, scheduling of the contractor, then at least they know, that we are working on this and doing our due diligence.
Well, Commissioner Mathis, you live there. I looked at it today. In the meantime, while we're waiting on the work to be done, if the board approves it for it to be done, Dustin, if he had any coal mix, whatever it's called, could put in that one bad pothole, that would help significantly. Because that's the worst one, right there where that red clay is at. It's beat out right there in a hole. If he could just put something in there to hold that a little bit.
He has some milled asphalt.
Milled asphalt, anything to hold that, to try to hold it for a little while. So,
Okay, do we want to entertain then going ahead and approving this or disapproving?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Okay, we have that motion to approve this project by Commissioner Millender. Okay, second by Commissioner Allen. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and then that motion carries. All right, the second item on, under new business is approve, disapprove design and construction plans for Crooked River Lighthouse Pirate Ship playground equipment and funding transfer request. And this is presented by Mr. Steve Allen. So if you will come forward, sir, and make your presentation.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Allen, and for the record, I serve as the president of Carabell Lighthouse Association.
Is your microphone turned on?
Can't believe I'm too tall for it.
Oh.
There we go. That's much better.
Yes, we're testing it. It's a new microphone.
Oh, wow.
And you all were
Nice.
testing this
Okay,
to
I'm
get
used to this.
these microphones for every commission member and staff member.
So I will start over.
Make a good impression.
Yeah. My name is Stephen Allen, and I am the president of Carabell Lighthouse Association. And we have a partnership with the city where we manage the Carabell Crooked River Lighthouse Park. And that includes the historic tower, the museum that we run and operate, and hire people in the community to manage and run and keep up with the park. We have, over the last 3 or 4 years, maintained all the mowing. We get support from the city when we can and need it, but we try to manage the park as closely as possible with volunteers in the community. So start there. I'm here tonight to talk about the, we're at slide 1. We're like way in the middle. There we go. The Crooked River Lighthouse Park. This is the picture of the epic 71-foot-long Carrabelle pirate ship that was purchased and installed in 2007 through a park improvement grant that included an accessible playground option at a cost of $150,000, and that was paid for through a grant. And it was a brilliant idea of Courtney and former John McGinnis and others to put that in place. So the background that you're looking at on the slide is a survey, a graphic survey of the park that locates the little square dotted line box is the flat area to the left of the tower. That is the place where one of the original keeper's houses would have been. And to the right is the museum that is a replica of the keeper's house. And then there is the 1895 wash house and a parking pad there. And then off to the right is a little project that I want to talk to you about tonight. So this was a ship that Courtney bought. Kids came, it was awesome. I was actually surprised that it was kind of as cool as it was, you know, because I was sort of expecting a little plastic thing, but it was really kind of very cool, and lots of people enjoyed it. So the next slide. We did some plays on it. Birthdays were celebrated. We did the first viewing of the production of the 1766 Shipwreck on Dog Island play that's been performed 3 times in the county. And so we kind of did that. It was great for Lantern Fest. It served a place for musicians to perform off of, and it was really fun to have around. Next slide. Unfortunately, on that Mother's Day in 2015, it burned down, and so right afterwards, the kids began to come in and give their money out of their piggy banks to have it returned. So we thought about that and came up with a plan. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, and what we're going to hope to get started very shortly. Next slide. So the vision of sort of having the playground equipment be not on the historic part of the park, but rather on the cleared out area to the right of the museum that goes over towards Cape Street, so that you could have more of the historic things on the top of the park and the playground equipment over sort of to the right. So that idea, and we noticed that there was a drop there, so we are preparing to sort of go along with this vision. Next slide. So the new event venue and playground project is going to be, we're going to do site and foundation preparation, product preparation and assembly of and delivery of the ship, the playground, site installation and accessory installation, dock installation, and the site landscape, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Then add other supports. You were mentioning bathrooms earlier, restrooms earlier. You know, we see a need for someday maybe having some of that. So all of those kind of projects are what we're looking to do. And then a grand opening. So next slide. I think I got one before that, or 2 before that. No, you're right. Okay, so this is what we hope to put in it. It is a ship. It's 42 foot long. It's got about 180 framing members. All of what you're looking at are things that will be pre-cut and delivered to the site to assemble. They will be, we're having reinforced concrete footings put in. We'll have 2 40-foot mast poles that are at the center of the axis of the boat, and that'll all be tied together with reinforcement. And then we'll put the next slide. Oh, and just a little bit on the elevation. The elevation of the bottom level of what you see there is 12.5 feet above sea level, and it sits right in there between, as that hill comes down, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Next slide. So this is sort of a drawing. It's really conceptual as to overall pattern, but the site there will require just a little bit of flattening out on the back end so that we can put the foundation in there. We've got volunteers, businesses in the community that have agreed to provide their services and support to the project without charging us for it. And it's really sort of envisioned as a community project. It was our loss and our memories that we had back in 2015, and it's sort of coming together to sort of overcome that. So we see this as a kind of a celebration, but the leveling and site preparation will be done, the footings will be in place, and then the next slide. These are the framing assemblies that will be, heavy equipment will use to just stand them up and connect them as they move down, so you see them all together there, but it basically will be assembly A, assembly B, assembly C, and as each one goes up, horizontal framing members will lock them in place, and that'll form the framework, and I think it'll take about a day and a half, maybe 2 days to install this portion of the playground. Next slide. And then we'll just add the members. They're all pre-cut, measured, they've got places to be, the floor joists are nestled in a cleat. Everything is framed to be nailed off and screwed. It's using bolts, like lag bolts and nuts and bolts for the assembly of the different parts. Simpson ties to connect those 6x6 posts that form the frame down to the foundation top next. And then it's decking the floor, putting in the stair stringers. Literally, they will be ready to be clipped in. All of the balconies and edges will be in place when we when it comes together. Next slide. And then it's sort of the finished product here. I didn't put all of the sides of the siding, the decking on the side so that you could sort of see inside the structure, but it slants out and it has some lighting features and stuff. And so the next part of it is, you can see in the back right-hand corner what I'm told is the stern. There is a sort of a curly Q slide that will be the slide for the kids coming down. There it is in that picture, thank you. Bowsprits and the details we would love to tie to some artisans in the community to make this really unique for Carabell. And then the next slide. And then the cool part of this is sort of the setting of this slide. And there's a 7.5-foot drop from the concrete pad where the handicap parking space is at the base of the museum down to the bottom to that 12.5-foot elevation. And so it'll sit in there and it'll look like it's parked at a dock. And it's really just the natural terrain of the park that sort of forms an amphitheater for that dock as a stage. And it's how the kids access it, and it keeps them all sort of focused on that side of the playground as an idea. So like I said, dockage, landscaping, all of those elements are going to be done as part of a sequential set of parks. We'll get the boat built, the boat put in there, put in the dock, and then address some of the other landscaping opportunities moving forward after that. I just want to thank you for your support. We appreciate the members of the community that are stepping up to support the vision, and really hope that the project adds to that nationally historic structure of the Lighthouse, our museum. We have full moon climbs and country markets on a regular basis. It's a part of really Carabell and Carabell's history. It was here in 1899 when those shipwrecks that we talked about last month at the History Museum, and it sort of ties it all together. And I can't imagine there would be anyone that visits Franklin County that has a kid that would want to come over here and check it out. So hopefully we can get this started, get it moving forward.
All right, do we have questions for Mr. Steve?
Don't have any questions, just have a comment and want to say thank you for the efforts of everyone that's been a part of this.
Yes, sir.
It's all volunteer.
Yeah.
And that means a lot.
Yeah.
A
Yes,
lot
sir.
of folks doing different things in different ways and wheels are turning. So thank everyone for what they've
Absolutely.
done.
No, I think everybody wants to be involved and be a part of it. And I'm really glad to have Johnny and George and David Keith willing to step up and be a team. It's kind of a different kind of project than what someone would normally do as a business in town, like a developer or a builder, because it really is about installing it. So it's more like a dock thing. That's why, you know, they were the perfect person to step up and help us with that part, sort of the handling of those big members, getting them in place and locking them. And then I just think it's going to be fantastic. And we look to leverage, you know, the money that we have, that we've collected through donations over the last 7 years, and the money that's been set aside through the TDC and through the insurance policy for the original Carrabelle. And we hope to really leverage that against some of these other projects, ultimately including restrooms. We need some work on the driveway. But the last picture on that slideshow was a picture of the Carabell fourth order Fresnel ends that returned to us after 70 years in New Orleans, in an office where no one could see it except for the admiral who possessed it. But it was because he possessed it that we knew where it was, because most Lighthouse lenses got placed or misplaced in the collection and didn't have a provenance to where they came from. So having that incredible artifact that was made in France, in Paris in 1894, in our town is also another thing that we look forward to. And just while I'm here, and I got one more second to mention something, I hope that we're opening up a spot for that, the replica or the original keeper's house that's 2 miles down the road. Not many opportunities to get an original keeper's house and move it back to the property and turn that into, that would make that park one of a kind in all of the Lighthouse parks in Florida and beyond, because of the original components and the pieces that are there.
Okay.
It's a great
well,
asset.
Thank you, and thank you for coming and making a presentation. I like your concept, I really do. I want to ask some questions. I'm going to get down to the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
But thank you for your presentation and combined report about what's going on at the Lighthouse.
Yes,
We don't
ma'am.
get many reports, and it's always good to know what's going on out there. I do appreciate it. What are the framing members going to be? What's the material?
It's pressure-treated 6x6 lumber and 4x4 lumber and 2x4s. and
Okay, so is that the
2x6s.
material then for the interior members and the floor joists and that kind of thing? as well?
Absolutely, yes.
What's the material on the decking? What's that going to be?
It's going to be decking like you would have on a deck on a.
Okay,
on-
no
on your-
composite though.
Right. It's
And-
just,
and-
I want it to be very strong, and
Okay.
we're going to stain it and make it look really cool.
So that would be the same for decking material on your dock and then your flooring of your pirate ship?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then the dock is going to serve as the actual stage rather than the pirate ship serving as the, or it
Well,
could be
it's really going to be
incorporated.
all, it's going to
Yeah.
be all. The dock will be the flat area that is front of the ship as you're looking down from the amphitheater. Will be maybe 15 or 20 foot wide right in front of the boat. And then it's going to wind around so that the backdrop ultimately becomes the Gulf of Mexico across the beach there. And so we'll have sort of we have dancers sometimes come from the community colleges to do the dance. They can spread out or be on different parts of the boats. There's just a tremendous opportunity to project movies on the side so that young people can come out or older people can come out and watch a cool movie. I'd love to get, like if I were dreaming of things, ultimately would be like a restroom and a really nice picnic pavilion with perhaps a community grill so that
Maybe
we
a
could,
FERDAP grant sometime.
yeah, a community grill so that we could get out there and cook some food and have an event and all of that. So those are all kind of ideas, and where we're headed from a vision standpoint.
Okay, well, what will the siding material then be on the ship?
It'll be the same thing as the decking on the floor.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, very good. Now, I want to talk some business stuff here. As you reviewed, the original was a grant, and it was owned by the city, as all the property is out there. And the city general fund funds the insurance for out there, which.
Yes, and the lights.
Yes, and the playground equipment,
Yes.
and that's where we have, certainly we didn't get back what it was valued at, but there's some money there, yes. And the TDC did in the past fund some playground equipment for Apalachicola, and we weren't ready with the pirate ship, but I said I asked for that same amount to be put in our escrow account, so we do have some money from the TDC for that playground equipment. All right, what I want to make sure is that we can get this piece of equipment insured. Is
Okay.
it going to meet like, consumer product safety standards or ASTM standards for playgrounds and playground equipment and that type of thing?
Yes, in Florida, it's my understanding, one of our community people work for the department. Unless it exists in a school setting, like in a kindergarten or a after-school
After-school,
care, that there is a regulatory authority for playground equipment at that point. All of the items on the boat will be made from and manufactured by playground equipment professionals that manufacture those parts for
Like
other.
the tube slide?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. I have, and ensuring the, we hope to have a system where we basically can make repairs and do things as we need. It's built like a Sherman tank. I want it to be there after any storm. That's why it's directed the way it is and so forth. It should be solid and well lit and nicely done.
Okay, so we just want to, Mr. Hartman and Ms. Courtney, make sure that we can insure this piece of equipment so that if there was, God forbid, some type of an accident or something, that, the city would be safely insured and
Right,
covered.
and Keisha may be able to speak to this
Okay.
more than I, but this is out in the county, so you need to run through the county building department.
I
So-
talked to
They
them.
typically don't permit anything for the city, but I would prefer we go ahead and permit it ourselves and have it inspected by our buildings inspector, just
That's fine with me.
Yeah,
just
it-
as
it's-
the process.
Okay, that's what, so
Wouldn't
there,
cost anything, but we'd still.
there's a set of plans for it and everything
Oh,
else.
yes,
It would
absolutely.
need plans.
And then we can send those, or if they ask for them, to our insurer and say, hey, this is what we're putting out there, is it, make sure it's
It would
covered.
follow the same guidelines as if he was building a dock.
It
or
is,
a
so
deck.
to answer the question about the county building department, I talked to the county building department and asked them if they needed me to come and present to them, and they said, he said that there's not really a decision because we're not doing electricity. It is, in a sense, a deck. It's not attached to a building, and so he told us not to come, and that was in the last week.
And they generally don't even permit our electrical. We permit it ourselves, even if it's in the county, because it's our property, so.
Got it, okay.
And I think that's an excellent idea, Ms. Keisha. I would prefer that it be inspected periodically, and that way, if there was if there had to be a claim to the insurance company, you can set forth those records that
Right,
it had
right.
been.
And honestly, that also
We would
needs to,
inspect the footer before it's poured, and, just like you would in building a house.
Okay,
and I'd like to, if you don't mind, while you're doing this for the sake of economy, I mean, we had the deck that connects the accessible ramp to the museum and the wash house rotted out because of, I think, material. The pressure treated was made at a certain time when we had sort of a bad batch. And I was able to basically go up there and just kick it like that, and the whole panel dropped out on all of it. And so we have cordoned that off, but when we do that, like the inspection of the building, we would love that. It is your asset. We are just the organization that manages the inside and the operations of it in the park.
we need to get on the ball and start, well, I know that you're gonna reach out for a TDC infrastructure
Yes,
grant.
ma'am.
But, let's be here and keep us reminded in the back of our minds so we can get a FERDAP, reach out for that or try to find some, some funding to
Well,
keep that
I'll try to
park,
take your leadership here and perform a report on a regular basis,
That
maybe
would be
monthly.
great.
At least updating you on what's going on.
Okay, wonderful.
I'll be a better president, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, so then we got the insurance issue settled. So now it seems to me, though, that there's like two requests here. He's wanting approval, disapprove of his plans that he's presented, and so that he can move forward with his group. And then he's asked me on the phone. I said, no, we're going to have to bring this to the commission. I can't give you the answer on it on my own. He wants to transfer. I believe you want to transfer funding to the Lighthouse account?
Association,
So
yeah,
tell us what
we
you
have
want.
a dedicated account, and we would actually line item this separately so that we could maintain and report what we spend the money on. But the idea is that we will be using it to complete the other landscaping parts of the park that are for the seating, and other parts of it that will be done by probably some of the same community members in terms of volunteering, excavating and moving some land around. But really it sits right on the top, so it's like just surface. And so all of that, yeah.
Okay, so that account, it's when the city got the reimbursement, they put it in the renewal and replacement account. It has $43,356 and change. 800 of that belongs to Tilly Miller Park from a private donation because we had nowhere else to put it. So he will be then asking to transfer that funding over to the Lighthouse so that they can
I'm gonna
manage
make a motion to approve the plan as presented
Okay.
by the Lighthouse Association.
Second.
Okay, and that motion, and thank you for, all right. That motion by Commissioner Melander is to approve the plan as presented by the Lighthouse Association, and that's second by Commissioner Mathis, and discussion. And wanted to thank you for making that a one-part motion. Thank you. All right, so any other discussion on that approval of that motion to approve the plan as presented? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries.
I'll make another motion to transfer the funding,
Okay.
in the, what account did you call it, Courtney? Replacement.
It's
Yeah.
from the renewal and
From the
replacement.
renewal and replacement minus the $800 as noted by the mayor to the Lighthouse Point Association.
I'll second.
Okay, and that motion to transfer funding is from Commissioner Melander and second by Commissioner Brown. Is there any other discussion? I would ask if, when you give a report, just include, how your budget is going with the.
Oh, absolutely.
With the
Yeah,
Lighthouse,
yeah,
I mean,
we
with
have
the pirate ship.
We have an
And-
excellent accountant.
Okay, very good. Any other discussion or questions to Mr. Allen?
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just let that be known.
If
Okay.
anyone wants more information, I try to keep it quiet for a little bit and just make it really short. But if anybody would like to come out and see what we're talking about, come out and visit the lens, I'd love to have that. Just give me a call, reach out.
All right, and the lens is beautiful. I was saying that before the meeting started. All right, so I want to also say that it was a very sad day that ship burned, and that was the day that Mayor Curly Messer passed away as well. And Mother's Day. It was
You'll
awful.
notice in the report I included the Chambre Dolores or something as one of the features of the pirate ship. Dolores worked for us and with us at the Lighthouse and was a president at one time. We're going to name that after her, and I think maybe since there's a connection to Curly, we'll come up with something that recognizes that day for him.
But it was so sad.
Yeah,
I went out there that
absolutely.
evening, and it was just terribly
Yeah,
sad.
it was.
Okay, so, motion to transfer the funding, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, and that motion carries.
Got somebody back in.
Yes,
Yes. Could I ask the time frame, start and finish?
that's a good question, thank you.
Thank
So, as you may all know, I'll turn this off when I leave this next time. It's probably going to be waiting on the concrete and the formwork. It's very difficult right now to get concrete, and we'll be in line, right. And so, local hardware store, I want to mention Mr. Jackson. They've been very generous to help support this too, and that makes it very convenient to get the materials in and use that locally. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't answer your question. I'm too far up here near the politicians, and I forgot. Yeah.
He's got that good sounding microphone.
Yes. So we're hopeful that targeted by late spring, early summer, at least with having the boat and in place and the dock so that kids can get on it, and at least that be working at that point. And then we'll add other components as we move along, and we can coordinate it. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Allen.
I've been told he's my son.
Okay. Oh, my. Okay, old business, we have none. So is there any public comment?
I didn't get it either.
Okay, we didn't receive a speaker card, but is there any public comment? We'll take a brief comment if someone wants to speak out. Okay, no public comment? All right then, are we going to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mathis. Do we have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Millender. Any discussion? All, okay, any approve? All approve?
Aye.
Okay, aye. Any opposed? All right, and that carries. We're adjourned.